morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing this morning? And I say utimi catchy and English because I need catch him. And then it's okay then yamiase. I know they are no try now they are. Yeah, the best friend yeah. But the ye can want some aduane na ye no. And I'm sure say this particular conversation enye ne ya kan want some ka. E kwan a ye fa so ye aduane a ye die e be safe amaye. And minim say answer na aduane kura ba FDA won hihye a e mammo e wosam ye say adwuma no. But it appears to say we aduane na wie no say ye drink o say ye nsuo say ye beverage o a maye ne kama from factory no enye pie abontene pe wona mo ton ama consumers no na akwakoye problem. I'm sure say problem we about. What can we do? I am worried. So what can we do in terms of our safety? Because this is not the first time we are discussing this particular subject.
Well, thank you so much. I want to applaud you people, the station, for raising this matter. This is a very, very important matter that indeed we will have to be discussing it from time to time. Because the people, or let me say an individual, a family, and a nation is as good as what it eats. If you eat garbage, you will bring out garbage and you will be garbage yourself. Every living organism takes the shape of whatever it eats. So as a matter of fact, food safety is a very critical element. And let me say that the food safety is just not only confined to regulators, such as the Food and Drugs or the Food and Drugs Authority, or even the Standards Authority. Food safety is very key or very it's a responsibility of everybody, every individual in the country. Because the eyes of the regulatory authorities cannot be everywhere. It is a moral responsibility of every citizen of this country to ensure that whether the eyes of the law are looking on you or at you, or they are not looking at you, you must ensure that whatever you are doing, it will lead to enhancing the lives of the people that your produce will be feeding. So having said this, I would say that the level that I am deeply concerned with the kind of food that is in this country. Not necessarily the already packaged food and all that, but indeed, most of the locally produced goods, more especially the one that the health experts say that it is very good for our health. For instance, the vegetables, the cabbage, the lettuce, the cucumber, the carrot, or all those vegetables that most at times we eat them almost raw. What are their chemical compositions? Who regulates how much chemicals, pesticides they put on these things? Because for instance, if you talk about rice, you talk about most of the things that we import. There are regulatory authorities that are at the ports, that are at the various borders. And as a matter of requirement, if before you bring in these goods into the country, you must have registered those goods for with the regulatory authorities. Then when they test those goods and approve that they are good for consumption, then you can bring them in. Failure to do that will incur the wrath of the law. But a farmer who is producing onions or producing tomatoes, producing vegetables generally by a water body, or somewhere, who regulates that particular farmer? If the farmer decides to put in certain chemicals to let the vegetables grow within 2 weeks, instead of it going into its normal life for 4 weeks or 8 weeks, who regulates that? And this is a major concern, because I pass almost every week by vegetable producers, and I see that they keep on spraying pesticides, spraying chemicals. I ask them, how many times do you put these chemicals on this vegetable? They say, oh, every 4 days. And I say, wouldn't the vegetables be very toxic? They say, oh, yes, abuabedi vegetables. No. So my question is, you go and take that is as fresh as anything, cut it as fresh. And we say it is healthy, particularly those of us who are a little old. They say, eat those ones, they are healthy. And then you eat them, and it turns out to give you another sickness, because the chemical content in it is very, very high. The people are spraying every 4 days until they harvest.
Wow.
Who goes to test these vegetables to see that they are healthy? For me, that is my area of concern. Because for the established ones, the factories, the imports, the direct imports, there are regulatory authorities there. But there is an unseen market, an unseen side, where I'm not too sure that regulatory hand reaches there. And both of us, in the name of good health, are tilting towards that area. These days, farmers, when you even talk about maize, no farmer will go and then plow the land. They begin with the cultivation of the land by spraying some chemicals on it to kill the weeds. Then they now plant. Then they go on with chemicals until they harvest. When they harvest and they want to store it, they use chemicals to store. Indeed, I've had occasions and reports where bees, people are using cement to store bees so that the weevils will not destroy them. They use all manner of chemicals to store bees. Recently, I bought a bag of bees from the north, and I was told that I should ensure that I wash the bees thoroughly and dry them before I can cook them. Otherwise, I may get my body intoxicated with chemicals.
I didn't hear that. Mr. Awuni, I didn't hear that part. They said wash your beans because
wash the beans over and over and dry it before you can now begin to use that bean for whatever you want to use it for. Because they use cement to store the beans. They use DDT to store the beans.
No, Mr. Awuni, I can't believe it. Are you saying that in the north, they use cement and the chemicals that you mentioned as a preservation method?
This is what I am told. I bought the bag of beans. The bag of beans, I have it right now. That
Jesus
is what
Christ.
The supplier, those who gave to me, told me.
And the supplier told you to wash it thoroughly before you consume it.
Who bought it for me told me that is what, and I've even seen video content on WhatsApp and all that, also talking about that.
Jesus Christ.
Because of the weevils and all that, people are doing everything to store. I have people in the north who are farmers, and they talk about that. So apart from that is used to produce the crop, there's another chemical that is used to store it. And so no wonder we are having serious health issues such as cancer, kidney-related liver cases, and all that. And that's why I'm particularly happy and applaud your station that we are talking about this, because this is a very, very critical thing. And I think that the Ministry of Agri, not only Food and Drugs Authority or standards authority. But the Minister of Agric must turn their attention to this particular side. It's not just about saying that they are producing there's bumper harvest, and so there's a lot of food in the market. What kind of food is in the market? What is the quality of that food? What chemicals are in it? And that is a major thing, because right now there's no. If we talk about food safety, most of the food that is produced locally, I wonder how safe they are, because I pass through most places where they produce vegetables. I've never seen agricultural officer, extension officer, or anybody around there trying to regulate how they spray the chemicals on the vegetables. The beans, the maize, the soya bean, all those ones, how do they preserve them?
I get the sense that this is also one of the normal things we assume it is not as scary as you see it. So, do you do any engagement with the key policy makers, or is it that they are not aware, or maybe when you raise those issues, it becomes the usual, we will take action to address the situation and nothing happens?
Well, when you talk about that, they say that you are trying to use their power, they will always talk political talk, and it's like you are, some people even read politics, that you are trying to be against the government and then all that. What you are doing is the right thing. If they listen, they know, because they all eat it. And everything in the market to the life of the people. For instance, we are having a lot of increased smuggling of goods into the country. When the GRA people go and arrest smugglers, politicians will come in and say, release them. Every smuggled product that comes in does not only undermine the revenue potential of this country, but it also stands to undermine the health potential of the country. Because the fact that the thing comes into the country illegally, it means that you cannot attest to the quality of the food.
So finally, what should be the action plan? Because I am quite scared that this is something that is in the system. We know that we have a challenge with production of these crops and foodstuff. We are aware of how it is being preserved. And this is a general knowledge that virtually all Ghanaians are aware that the kind of food that we are consuming inside probably is causing a lot of havoc that we assume perhaps is normal. What's supposed to be the action plan? Because I know that the major policy makers are monitoring what should be done, so we will not address this issue, but rather will be perhaps acknowledging the success level of this particular advocacy.
The advocacy that begins, what is one of the actions. And I will humbly call on the Ministry of Agri to begin a nationwide education and also ensure that their extension officers, indeed we still have extension officers in this country, to begin to regulate how food is preserved in this country, to regulate how the vegetables are produced in this country. My major concern in this discussion is how our vegetables are produced in this country. Because we are saying that is a healthy lifestyle when you eat vegetables. But when you look at the way the vegetables are produced, it can be scary.
Mr. Awuni, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
6.1